Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into the ultimate biological thought experiment based on the architect of the perpetual day. We're looking at what it would actually mean to, well, completely hijack the human timeline.
So, what if you never had to sleep ever again? Seriously, think about it. Right now, sleep is basically the ultimate tax on biological life. It's this mandatory biological debt that just eats up roughly a third of our entire existence. But imagine completely dropping that tax. Eliminating sleep wouldn't just give you a little bit more time. No way. It would totally alter your relationship with society, your capacity for productivity, and honestly, even your own mind. Just imagine the sheer volume of things you put off because you're simply too tired at the end of the day. If that exhaustion literally vanished overnight, who would you become?
Okay, before we get too far, let's lay down a few ground rules for this thought experiment. You get to skip sleep, but with absolutely zero negative consequences to your health or energy. The rules are super simple. Zero brain fog, no fatigue, no negative health risks whatsoever. It's a crazy premise, for sure, but it forces us to really examine the true value of time. You're perfectly refreshed, functioning at 100% capacity 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You know that 3 p.m. slump? Gone. Waking up groggy? A thing of the past. You are just constantly, endlessly energized.
Section 1. The mind-boggling math of extra life.
To really grasp the impact here, we've got to look at the numbers. When you do the actual math based on the source data, the sheer scale of the time you gain is absolutely staggering. We aren't just talking about getting a few extra hours to catch up on laundry or binge that new TV show. You're inheriting a massive chunk of conscious existence that normal humans simply never get to experience. It starts with a daily gain of 8 extra hours. That's an entire standard workday of pure waking consciousness just gifted to you every single day while the rest of the world shuts down and goes to bed.
And that daily gain? Well, it quickly scales up to a weekly gain of 56 hours. Think about that for a second. 56 extra hours. That is the exact equivalent of an entire extra work week plus a long weekend, slapped onto every single week of your life. While your colleagues are trying to cram their errands, hobbies, and downtime into a standard 2-day weekend, you've essentially unlocked an entire week entirely for yourself, all tucked away in the quiet shadows of the night.
Now, stretch this out over a year, and we hit 2,920 hours. To put that into perspective, that translates to roughly 121 full days of pure waking consciousness per year. You're practically living an extra third of a year every single year. Imagine having a secret 4-month vacation seamlessly interwoven right into your normal calendar, completely undetectable to anyone else. You could read hundreds of books, write a novel, remodel your entire house, and still have time left over just to sit back and stare at the stars.
And this brings us to the ultimate lifetime gain, 13.5 years. Over a standard 40-year adult span, by just reclaiming the time you would have spent unconscious in bed, you effectively gain 13.5 years of extra life over everyone else on the planet. That's over a decade of extra conscious time to learn, build, and experience. It's a completely different paradigm of human existence. Honestly, you're essentially living multiple lifetimes all at once.
Section 2. The 3 a.m. ghost town. The hidden isolation.
But hey, it's not all just free time and boundless productivity. As exhilarating as those numbers are, the sociological reality of being a 24-hour entity forces a dramatic shift in pacing. You're thrust into a stark contrast, the loud 16-hour society versus the completely silent 8-hour night. You become a 24-hour entity trying to operate in a 16-hour world. Society completely hits the pause button between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. Your friends, your family, your colleagues, they all go offline. The digital notifications stop, the streets empty out entirely, and the world goes incredibly silent. It's just you, alone with your thoughts, while the rest of humanity is fast asleep.
This creates a phenomenon defined in our source text as the void. It's that silent period where you must somehow occupy your mind without waking the people around you. I mean, think about it. You can't mow the lawn, you can't run the blender to make a quick smoothie, you definitely can't vacuum the living room, and you can't even call a friend to chat because, well, they're deeply asleep. Instead, you kind of become a ghost in your own home. You inhabit this quiet world where you're forced to master skills, consume media, or work on personal projects in absolute, uninterrupted, and sometimes deafening solitude. You absolutely have to become incredibly comfortable with your own company.
Section 3. The practical bottlenecks of a 24-hour day.
Now, what's really interesting here is that living nonstop introduces some bizarre logistical hurdles you might not immediately expect when you're just daydreaming about having more free time. First off, the grocery bill. because your metabolism never slows down for sleep, you're burning calories for a full 24 hours. The practical reality? You will literally be eating breakfast number 2 at 3 a.m. You're going to need to consume 4 to 5 meals a day just to maintain your weight, causing your food budget to instantly spike by 30 to 40%. Then there's utility wear and tear. Your lights are always on. Your heater, your computer, your appliances, they never get a break. So your electricity bills skyrocket and your personal tech hardware dies twice as fast. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, mental pacing. Sleep acts as a natural reset switch for emotional stress and daily frustration. Without that clean break to close the tabs in your brain, a bad Tuesday afternoon can easily bleed straight into a bad Wednesday morning without any psychological boundary. You totally lose the luxury of saying, "I'll just sleep on it."
Section 4. The ultimate competitive edge.
But if you can actually navigate those hurdles, surviving the deep isolation of the night hours and those compounding utility bills, you become an absolute unstoppable force in whatever you choose to pursue. While the rest of your industry or your peers are completely unconscious, you have a quiet, uninterrupted 8-hour block every single night. You could use this time to build a parallel career. You could learn entirely new languages. You could master complex digital tools or scale an independent business. You could easily work a demanding day job, come home, have dinner with your family, and still have the equivalent of a full-time schedule left over to dedicate entirely to your personal passions, creative projects, or financial ventures. The sheer compounding interest of that much focused effort is frankly mind-blowing.
Because of all this, you effectively become a real-life superhero. This biological hack turns you into a superhuman capable of an output that no regular mortal could ever possibly match. But your power isn't super strength, you can't read minds, and you certainly can't fly.
Your greatest power is exactly what the source material describes as an unassailable mountain of extra time. Ultimately, never needing to sleep means weaponizing this massive advantage to outpace everyone around you. It's the ultimate trump card in the game of life. While others are biologically forced to shut down and recharge, you're just perpetually moving forward, step by step, night after night, right there in the quiet of the void.
So the final question I want to leave you with today is this. What would you build in the quiet of the night? If you were handed an extra 13.5 waking years, a vast, silent playground entirely for yourself, how would you spend it?